Why aren't people standing up for Austin Metcalf? Why?
Outrage. Where is the national headlines? Where are the marches? Where are the protests?
Connected. Black Lives Matter got...
Okay, so those who don't know, this guy, Austin Metcalf, was unalived by this guy, Carmelo Anthony. Even though Austin's father asked people not to politicize his son's death, many insensitive people, like the ones you just saw in this video, still did it anyway. So let's get into it. Start off with this picture you showed. It says, zero media coverage. So Austin's case had zero coverage. Well, let's look into it. Well, I looked into this story. One of the very first news media outlets that covered this was NBC News. The next news outlet that covered it was USA Today. Then Yahoo News covered it. Then it was covered on Fox News. Then it was on the New York Times. Then Daily Mail. After that, it was on ABC News. And then CNN touched on the story. So after seeing all that, how is it that Austin's case had zero media coverage? Now, next thing I want to point out is this. People like this guy and this guy are bringing up the race of Austin and Carmelo. Let me remind you, these are the exact same people who always say, I don't see color, I'm colorblind. But all you guys see in this incident is race, and it had nothing to do with race. It had to do with a seating issue. Even Austin's father said it had nothing to do with race. Now the next thing I want to point out is this. People are talking about there's no protests going on.
No people in the streets saying no justice, no peace.
National headlines. Where are the marches? Where are the protests?
Here's the issue I have. When it comes to incidents like this, y'all say, where's the protests? My question is, how come you guys never go out there and protest? How come you never start your own groups to go out and protest? How come you don't do that? See, the difference is when black people are victims to these type of incidents, we get out there and protest. We don't just sit around and ask where's the protest. And also, see, when black people protest, we protest against injustice. Injustice. The guy who killed Austin, he's in jail. He's spending time. There's no injustice to protest. And of course, when it comes to issues like this, we have people like this caller saying, if you flip the races, the outcome probably would have been different. Would have been labeled a hate crime. Let me ask you a question, not just to you, but to everyone who talks like this. Do you guys ever stop to ask yourselves why that is? Could it be because this is a pattern that goes on with black people all the time? For example, let me show you. Let's take a look at the NCJRS Virtual Library. From 1992 to 1996, the number of hate crimes reported against African Americans increased by 52%. Now you may say, well, that's all in the past. No, it's not in the past. Because the thing is, it didn't just stop there. It still happens today. Turns out the worst year of anti-black hate crimes since the FBI last reported was in June 2020. In the middle of the burning, rioting, looting you guys talked about. So even when it was known and black people were talking about it, still didn't stop it from happening. The last time I saw anti-black hate crimes had to be 2008, the year that Barack Obama got elected. So even after electing the first black president, still didn't stop it from happening. Black people were at the highest level of anti-black hate crimes in 2023. And today, black people are still the top targets of hate crimes. So yes, if the races were reversed in a similar situation like this, the reason why people will question whether or not it was a hate crime is because it's not to show any lack of empathy towards people like Austin. It's because, due to our history and the statistics, it's a normal question to ask. You brought up burning down cities as if to call back to the 2020 protests, but let's not let high-profile instances distract you from what's going on. Police killing unarmed black people that year create a unique set of circumstances. When we look at homicides as a whole, when it's black people versus white people, according to this study, this is just the tip of the iceberg. After calculating the incidents that happened in Chicago, black victims received 2.8 news articles versus white people with 3.8 and Hispanics with 2.6. White victims were more than twice as likely to be discussed in terms of their relationships and roles in the community than victims who were black or Hispanic. In fact, homicides in predominantly white neighborhoods received the most coverage, regardless of the race of the person unalived there, and white people received the most attention. So while people like George Floyd or Breonna Taylor received big news coverage, on a day-to-day, white people receive more coverage when they are victims of homicides. And when black people do receive coverage, there's a difference. Notice how two of you guys brought up burning down cities when the Black Lives Matter protest was peaceful 96%. Notice how when it came to incidents like Trayvon Martin or Tamir Rice, the media brought up negative things about them. But in this incident, and as it should be, not a single negative thing was mentioned about Austin. How the media treats white people versus black people is not okay. It should be treated the same. Rest in peace to Austin. I pray that his family gets the justice they deserve. And to all you guys who weaponized this and pretended like you cared about what happened to him, y'all need to be ashamed of yourselves.